ruthless sports. I will be brutally honest. Ain't nothing but being brutally honest. Coming at you with another video. What's up, everybody? What is good? What is up with everybody? Jadis Young, what is up? Not Stone, what is up, my guy? So, since there's not too much football topics, let's go on the discussion of Aaron Banks. You know, this is the guy with the question mark. He's got to prove it. You draft this kid in the second round pick last year just to be the starter, right? You invested this guy to be your starter. So you let Laken Tomlinson hit free agency just because you're very confident in this guy. You pass on the likes of guys like Asante Samuels just to get a guard, right? But you better hope he pays off. So the thing about him is he's got a lot to prove. Last year, we were just hoping that maybe he can win one of the starting jobs. And it seems like the front office was like, nah, don't worry about it. You get it next year. It's like we were redshirting this kid. And he got to play 5 snaps or something last year. But during the preseason, he kind of looked okay, but wasn't all that. But this offseason, he's bulked up some muscles. He's dropped a little of that fat weight. And he's got a little quicker. So you're hoping that it does pay huge dividends. But let's look at the previous video of what he did last year, just to get the understanding of what you're getting of him as a starter. Like, I think we're not really sure about him because we thought this guy can easily be a starter last year. He couldn't even beat out Brunskill for that job. So I don't know. But if we're going by how we look at it, let's look at the film. It's probably going to be a small film, but I'll show you and see what we're getting as a starter. Not bad. Like, he did get some snaps in the preseason. He looked okay, but I don't know. We'll have to see how he does in the following, like during training camp and all that stuff. So we'll see about that part. So I'm going to add another clip and see if this is something that we can count on. I'll look at another film. Because, you know, I like doing a lot of these O-line videos. I like to do more of the trenches of the battle to give you my perspective and break down a little bit. So 10-second video of this one. So what he did good on that one play was he was able to stay square and really hold on to his man. Not too bad, but he still needs a lot of reps. But here's one thing that you might get for a potential starter for this season. So there's another. I'll put one more film, and this is pretty much it. Let's see if this works. I want to see. Let's see what we can get out of Aaron Banks. He bulked up a little bit, right? He bulked up a little bit. He should be in better shape. He's going to move quicker. But let's just see what we got last year from him from the preseason. He only played 5 snaps last year in the regular season, but played 18 pass blocks. Like, he played 18 snaps in the preseason. So let's see what we get.
Down a little awkward. You're going to see him pulling across the face there, and wow. And Daniel said,
okay, now that's what you want from an offensive lineman. Okay, when you look at the film, that's the only film I've seen out of him. But as far as a starter, We invested this kid very high. But what I like about him as an offensive lineman is that he's big, he can move, but that feisty, that nastiness, I like it. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I'm telling you, this is a player that has to prove it. He has to prove it. So that's pretty much like the way I look at it. Like, the film doesn't lie, but he wasn't, like, during the preseason against the Chiefs, that's where he got injured, and then he didn't play the rest of the preseason. So we didn't get a chance to see much of that development. So he dressed out for the Colts game, I believe, and only played like significant snaps, but he wasn't much of a factor. So we redshirted this kid. He's only played limited snaps. He did okay. But is that what we want for our starter? I want to see that kind of guy. I want to see him knock somebody to the ground. If we can get this Aaron Banks the way he was playing in the run game, shit, bro, I'm cool with it. I'm very cool with it. As long as he gets the physicality and plays at the highest level, man. It's unbelievable. Very unbelievable. But I just wanted to show a little clip of it. I'm not going to show it again because I'm not sure if it's going to come down as copyright claims, so I'm trying to play it safe. But it doesn't seem like nothing's happening right now, so we're good. I'm just not going to show it a second time. So if you guys want to see the rest of that film, you just have to go right back on the channel and just look at the beginning of it. So I like that he's a big feisty guy. He comes from Notre Dame. Notre Dame's always produced some solid offensive linemen. He comes from a really good college, so he's got the smarts. We're hoping he's the guy. That's the expectation. So for this season, it has to determine on the middle of the offensive lineman. I think the middle of the offensive lineman has to determine our season. The center spot, the two guard spots, that's going to be the most important position for the Niners this season, because if they don't step up, shit, we're in for a long season with Trey Lance, because Trey Lance will have to get some good protection right there. So I'm hoping that Aaron Banks does his job and steps up at the next level, because what he did at Notre Dame, that's solid competition. He does block solidly good. So at the next level, he's bulked up now, so he should look better than he's ever been. But let's look at the press conference and see if this will allow it. Let me see if this would work. I want to see what his approach was, from a guy that's just learning this position. Learning to play and learning the speed of the game is kind of outstanding, but we got to see what happens. We're hoping he's the guy. We're hoping. We're really hoping that he could be the guy. I'll just leave that alone. I'm probably not going to even worry about putting the Aaron Banks press conference part, because he only had it was only like a 30-second clip of what he said, but it kind of gives you the understanding that he was okay with the fact what his role was. He knew that he wasn't the better guy last year because of what was going on, but I feel like he definitely has a lot to prove this year. So when you look at it from the perspective, you got to hope that this guy pays off. You really do. Because if it doesn't pan out, it is what it is. But Aaron Banks, I think he's going to either play the same spot close to Trent Williams, because that's where they want him to play at. So the center spot, it's a question mark when you look at it. You got Jake Brendo, who to me, despite not having much starting experience, he would probably be the wise choice, because he's got a better rapport with Trey Lance, so that would probably make sense. But it wouldn't be a surprise if they give it to Brunskill, which I don't think he should even play center. I don't think he should play center whatsoever. But knowing how the front office is, or knowing how the coach staff can be, they could just pick whoever they want, and it doesn't matter. It's either they pick favorites or they just pick who really deserves a job. So then you got the other guard spot. It could be Brunskill playing that spot. It could be Jalen Moore, Spencer Burford, which I already interviewed months ago. He could potentially compete for that job. And then you got the rest of the other spots. So when you look at the offensive line spot, the interior line to me is a question mark. I'm not very high with McGlinchey at tackle, but when the running game is good, it's good because of him. But as a pass blocker, that's where I got a problem with McGlinchey. McGlinchey just isn't quite a good pass blocker. Then you look at the rest of the interior line, it's suspect. Did we address much of that position? We did okay when it comes to the later rounds. Maybe we're hoping we get somebody that can start and step in. We're hoping that can be the guy. We invested some draft picks on these linemen in the fourth and fifth rounds the previous years. We haven't drafted high on the offensive lineman until we drafted Aaron Banks. So you're hoping that the investment pays off. We're hoping that the offensive line is going to get better. I feel like this offensive lineman, it will determine whether our season is good or not, because Trey Lance is going to be the starter. So you got to give him some good protection, of course. So when you look at it that way, that interior spot, the middle of the offensive line, it's going to make a difference for Trey to either have that timing with rhythm and throw the ball. And if he doesn't get enough time on the pocket, man, this guy's running for his damn life. So I feel like that's where the key is for this season. This interior line. As far as tackle, Trent Williams is the best at the position, without a doubt. But McGlinchey is okay, nothing special. But the rest of the three spots, it's open. It's vacated. Anybody can compete for that starting job. But they're giving that job to Aaron Banks for that one spot. And then the center and other guard spot, it seems wide open. It's like anybody can compete for that job. If I'm being realistic about it, it's open. Nobody knows what can happen. So that's how you look at it. So when you look at it this way, it's going to have to take a lot for a certain rookie or somebody we signed to actually beat out Aaron Banks or Daniel Brunskill for that spot. It seems like if I'm looking by projection, projection by looking from the perspective, I think it's going to go down with Trent Williams starting, Aaron Banks on that spot. It wouldn't surprise me, but it seems like that Rappaport could be good with Jake Brendo at center. I'm hearing good things about him, so he could potentially be the starter at the center spot. Or for the guard spot, as much as I hate to say it, but I don't know. They like Daniel Brunskill, so they might put him at that other guard spot, and that leaves McGlinchey. But realistically, this is where I would put my starting lineups, if I'm being realistic about it. Y'all may disagree on this part. So Trent Williams, of course, is the starter. That's not even a question. So I'm not going to even put him in another, like in a backup role. Nah, he's going to be starter. I know Aaron Banks is probably going to be handed the job, but we'll see what happens. So that's probably where they're going to have him at. But when you look at the center spot to me, they might just hand the job to Brunskill. I think they might. I think that's what can happen, but it wouldn't surprise me. But that could be where they wanted him to be at, is center. So maybe they put Brunskill right on that spot. And then you have the other guard spot, and it's wide open. Very wide open. So you leave a spot between Jalen Moore and Spencer Burford and Nick Sakal. So that leaves a spot wide open for the competition. But realistically, it can come down to Jalen Moore taking the job. But who knows? And then you got Mike McGlinchey at that tackle spot, but we don't even know if he's going to play this season with this issue, what's going on with his knee or whatever. So it's going to take some time. So maybe you do put in Justin School in case injuries happen for McGlinchey. So that's what happens. What's up, Brian Cope? What's up, man? What's good? So just for looking at the trenches, man, this would be if I had to choose my fantasy starters at the offensive lineman, I would realistically go with Trent Williams. Banks, for whatever his upside is, he seems to have potential. He's got bulky. We're hoping he pays off. Center, if I had to choose the fantasy starting lineup at center, man, this might sound crazy, but maybe we have a spot for Jason Poe, but I don't know if he'll start, but he could be. you got to be athletic at the position. So that would be my fantasy starter. Jason Poole at that spot, Spencer Burford at the other spot, and then McGlinchey right there. Ooh, I think that looks pretty damn good on paper. But who knows? Realistically, it's just going to be how they look. Yeah, the O-line is the biggest question without a doubt. Because the interior line will determine whether our season is going to be good or not. Because if we don't fix that issue, the interior line, you got 3 of the middle of the spots. So it's pretty much like it's a tough one. That's the question mark that everybody's wondering. Who's going to start at center? Who's going to start at guard? And that's the question. But they already gave the keys to Aaron Banks for that other spot. So I'm not even thinking about replacing him until otherwise, Center spot, Jake Brendo is competing. Daniel Brunskill is competing for whatever spots out there. I don't get it, but that's where they're leaning towards. You got Donovan West, that's undrafted, that could compete for a starting job. And then you look at the guard spots, it's pretty wide open. You got a lot of these guys that we have for competition-wise. I mean, you look at Brunskill, who can play anywhere in the offensive lineman. You got Nick Zacho, Spencer Burford, who can play the tackle also, and guard. You can put him there. Let's see. Colton McKivitz, that's another guy that can compete for a job too. So those are just other spots out there. So that's the only biggest issues we got at the offensive line. So that's going to be a problem. But do I really feel that they're handing the keys to Aaron Banks? I think they are. Because you invest this guy in the second-round pick to be your starter, so you have to at least give him the job. It's going to be much of a challenge because you're going from an all-pro guard, Laken Tomlinson, to a guy like Aaron Banks. So you're hoping that this kid pays off. With a new mobile quarterback and a change to the offense line, do you expect more holding penalties? It could be. Because that could be an issue because if the quarterback runs or doesn't have enough time in the pocket, that could be the only issue right there. But maybe it could be the issue because of the mobile quarterback situation, but it depends. Oh, we got Jetskin in the building. What is up, Jetskin? I know you're too excited for Laken Tomlinson and all those other ex-Niners. You got all those little pumped up, man. You're pumped up with your Mormon guy, Zach Wilson, man. You're pumped up about him, so I get it. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, it's pretty much like that's just the way we look at the trenches. It's all – that's the only question mark I feel like. Secondary looks a lot better. Maybe the nickel spot could be the issue because it's the difficult position to play. Let's see. I feel like running back is our strength. Defensive line, that's our strength. Linebacker, for whatever reason, we find some solid, capable contributors that step in. Strong safety, depending on how Hufanga does, but Hufanga has the instincts and the ability to diagnose those plays. Yeah, can't wait till the season, without a doubt. Yep, everybody should be pumped up, yeah. Yeah, the O-line might not know when to block or release. Well, I think they already know. They're just going to have to be starter materials. I think they know what their assignments are going to be. Because if you learn the playbook for over a year, you should have a better understanding of how this offensive line scheme works. We do a run zone heavy scheme. We run the ball effectively. You have to be very mobile at this with Kyle Shanahan's type of offense, and you have to be able to move a lot. So for that position, if you're going to play guard, you have to be very mobile to pull. To play center, you got to have the right mentality, and you got to be quick off the snap too. For a tackle, you got to be very athletic, and those are the guys that we got right there. Those are the guys who fit the traits. But for the guard position, you have to move quick. Center, you got to have a quick snap right off there. You got to be able to move. So what Shanahan likes about the zone scheme that we run, it perfects the running game. So for Trey Lance to be our starter, I think that it doesn't give him much pressure He will just come in with better supporting casts. Just the interior line, to me, could be the only question mark I might be concerned about. I like our wide receivers. The running back, it's one of the best depth pieces we've got for a long time. I think it's pretty damn good. You can keep about 5 running backs or 4 at best. They're too damn good. Somebody who cuts those running backs, they're going to get picked up by somebody. Wide receiver depth, it hasn't been this great in years. Dude, there's a lot of guys who can easily be playing elsewhere. Like, that's how confident I feel. It's just the offensive alignment, to me, is the biggest question mark right there. And you're right about it, Brian. I feel like that's the one that's the biggest question mark to me. Pass rushers, we got a lot of these guys who could potentially be starters elsewhere. Like, you're telling me that a guy like Kerry Hyder can't be a starter elsewhere? You're telling me a guy like Komodo Toure can't be a starter elsewhere? Are you not telling me that a guy like Samson Ebukam can be a starter elsewhere? I mean, that's pretty solid depth piece right there. Jordan Willis, he's got potential. He's got high ceiling. He's got good potential. But Drake Jackson, this guy can be a rookie phenomenon. He could be one of the best defensive linemen in the draft from what everybody's talking about. Like, they're hyping this kid. Like, if he wasn't properly coached at USC, he probably would have been a far better draft prospect than what he was. But poor coaching at USC has led him to be where he's at. I think his production speaks for itself. But that spot is wide open for that other spot. Like, do you really think they're going to hand the job to Samson Ebukam? Do you think they're going to give it to those other guys like Kerry Hyder? I don't know. That other spot's wide open. Nick Bosa, that's his job to lose, so he ain't worried about that. You got, like, the defensive tackle spot. They're hoping that Javon Kinlaw can fill those shoes and step up big. Then Armstead can be a nice starter on the other inside. But I feel like depth pieces, I feel like our defensive line is pretty damn good. You can, like, if injuries were to play a factor, we have some quality depth pieces who can step in. Those are like guys that could easily be starters elsewhere. Like, if you think 2019 was something special, man, this depth piece, I think it's one of the best that I've seen in a long time. And then you look at the secondary. Secondary hasn't been this great in a long time either. Cornerback. There's a lot of cornerbacks that we got in our roster who can easily be starters elsewhere. If Jason Verrett wasn't injury prone, this guy is easily a starter and an all-pro elsewhere. Travarius Ward, the guy was a good shutdown corner for Kansas City. This guy's underrated. He can definitely be a difference maker where a quarterback would not throw his directions. Emmanuel Mosley is probably one of the most underrated cornerbacks in the NFL. Doesn't get talked about much, but he gets the job done. Avery Thomas, when injuries come into play, he might step in and make some plays. He's solid. He's all right. But forget about Dante Johnson. You got guys like Samuel Womack. He's got speed. You got Lenore. You got other guys competing for that spot. You got Quatrez Knight, too? You serious? That's how you look at the depth pieces. I feel like this is a damn good depth piece. It's just a matter of time. But then you look at the safety spots. You got Jimmy Ward, Hufanga, what's his name? Tavarius Moore. And then you got George Odom. And then you got some of the other guys out there, too. We got a few pieces out there. There's a lot of guys we signed, but they add different versatility. I mean, you got Tyreek Castro Fields who's got versatility traits, so he might sneak in with versatility mentality. Maybe he might beat out Dante Johnson. We'll see. But that's how we look at it. Yeah. We just got to know when to do the job right. Yep. So we'll find out about it. But these trenches, the battle of everything, it will determine whether we are going to do good this year. So the running game has to be it has to be good. The timing in the pocket, it has to play good. or else this is a disaster waiting to happen. So that's my 2 cents on it. But if you guys haven't seen the beginning of the video of what I was showing with Aaron Banks, this is a glimpse of what you're getting, but we're hoping we can get that part. But we'll see. But I'll catch you guys later. I was just doing this quick little stream video to do little topics of it. I just feel like he definitely needs to prove it. He has to prove it. You were drafted in the second round when you had third and fourth round grade. When you had third and fourth round grade, you could have waited to get the guy. But no, the front office really liked this kid. And there has been talks that McGlinchey wanted this kid. He wanted him to come to the Niners because he likes the kid of playing at the same college. So he told the front office to draft this guy. So that's what's been told. But in the offseason, he's dropped the fat weight and add some bulky muscles. He's moved a little quicker. So let's see how it pays off. But when he saw him play in college, he was an All-American selection choice. So he was definitely a good offensive lineman in college. But was he overly drafted? I think he was, but we'll see. We're hoping he pans out. But yeah. So we'll see how it plays out for Aaron Banks. But I feel like that's just what we need to know. We need to know if he can be the guy. So we'll find out during preseason. We'll find out during the regular season if this guy is the answer going forward, because you invested this guy to replace Laken Tomlinson. You let Laken Tomlinson go sign with the Jets, and you thought in your own mind, like, hey, I feel confident with this young kid, Aaron Banks, so we're going to give this kid the job. So you better hope he pays off, because I think this pick to me could have been waited to the third round. But no, we wanted to get this kid. So let me know what y'all think. I'll definitely catch y'all later. But yeah, appreciate you guys checking out the breakdowns and all the stuff. Maybe every now and then I'll probably do some little breakdown trenches and all that stuff. But if you guys want to see some more of those little trenches videos, I'm more than happy to do that, because I play the position and I'm more than helpful to give you the understanding of the position. But I'll catch you guys later. Peace.